All right, people, here we go. It is now a Friday, I think. I don't know. I've lost track. I think it's Friday, but we'll go with that. It is the 31st of January. We're almost done with the first month of 2020. Hard to believe as we head into February. Just one more month before the madness begins. That would be March Madness. It's all about college hoops from here on out, guys, and it is another edition here of the Happy Hour Tip-Off Show. It is powered by WagerTalk.com. Joined always by Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, and our good friend Drew Martin, SportsMemo.com. When it comes to college hoops, guys, you got him right here. Nobody better than these two. Drew, of course, over at SportsMemo.com. Drew69 right now, 7 days. Get a week's worth of Drew plays. Just use Drew69 for $69. Normally $119, guys. Get there today. And Ralph, over at WagerTalk.com, it was quite a night last night, and we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about some of these more featured games that were on the card. Certainly, the Big Ten was in action. But your thoughts on some of these, shall we say, I don't know, upsets like Stanford? You can kiss my ass too.
Yeah, Joe and I, for our viewers, we joked, and a lot of shows just talk about winners, but us, we talk about our losers just as much because, we learn from those losers. And anytime that Joe or I give out a game and it's in the biggest upsets and one of the biggest covers, it's like, ugh, wait to start the frickin' show.
Yep.
So that was Joe last night with the Weber State game that he's taken the horror story. And we talked about Oregon State and Stanford on here, and can you stop Trinkle? And you did. He only scored 15 points, but they had Oregon State had some other guys step up and pull the upset over Stanford. We knew Oregon State would have to score in the mid 60s to win the game, and they did that.
Yep, and across the board there, we were talking about Southern Utah and UT Arlington there too is another one. Ralph, I wanted to gouge my eyes out watching that game last night.
Yeah, I didn't watch that game. I had a couple games. I had a nice 2-in-1 day and I won a 4-star, but I was invested in Illinois, Chicago, and Youngstown State because I was getting 2.5 with Illinois, Chicago, and they were down between 2 and 5 the whole game, got down 9 with about 3 minutes to go, made a comeback, went to overtime and pulled away an OT. So, hey, I've had enough OT losses. Yes. It's nice to get an OT win.
Yes. Now, Drew, talk to us about your degenerate special last night you gave out on a show here. How'd you do, brother man?
Well, Joe, first off, good morning to you guys. Happy Friday out there to everybody watching. And, I wake up this morning, we got the Dow down 500, S&P down over 50 points. Coronavirus is going everywhere. But you know what, Joe? Cal State Bakersfield covered the 10.5. So overall, my dog that we went over won, and of course I'm concentrating on the winner. But I think pretty much everything else. Gonzaga did not cover the big number.
Nope.
It did go over the total though. Kind of luckily there at the one basket, it did go over 157. That Gonzaga Santa Clara game. So I believe Ralph was the one that kind of talked about it, pointing me towards there. And as the day went through, degenerate special cashes on the over. But no, Gonzaga did not cover that. So really 1-1 in the degenerate special. Overall, still alive on a Friday. So hopefully it's a good weekend here, Joe.
Yeah, Ralph, look at these. The thing that killed me is we talked about BYU and Pepperdine too there, Ralph. We weren't sure. Child's back. What were we going to get from them? It was a big number, and what we got was a 107-point effort by BYU. They made everything they threw up there, Ralph.
Yeah, it's the buy sign for me because, Child's missed, I think, 5 games, and while he's still on limited minutes, he only played 27 minutes last night. So you look for the effort with Childs just getting back into the swing. BYU, for me, is certainly a play-on team moving forward.
Yep, absolutely. And some big efforts there last night. Guys across the board. I give up on here's another one, too. Here's a kiss-my-ass special, too. UCLA and Chris Smith. Great game. Congratulations. Okay, Colorado, you can ever again, Ralph, am I dealing with Colorado? Most inconsistent. Give me a break. But listen, kudos to Mick Cronin and the guys over at UCLA, Ralph. That program's going to be better than it's been in a while over the next couple of years.
Joe, I got to ask you a very serious question.
I didn't win crap last night, Ralph, so don't even ask it.
No, this is serious. As many teams have I heard you say never again. Is there anyone left to handicap by the time you get to March?
No, absolutely. I'm running out of teams. That's the problem, Ralph, and screw Maryland, too. As long as we're at it. As long as we are at it. But big game for him, too, by the way, Cohen. But no, seriously, in UCLA, I could not have been more impressed for a team that couldn't score. Drew, and we talked about it yesterday, too. A team that just could not score here early on in the year, trying to get used to a new system, new coach, slowing it down. Great job by them last night, taking on a really good Colorado team.
Absolutely. And, when you can find teams that kind of morph and offensively can kind of wake up a little bit, man, to be betting on them, to be betting overs, that's a great profile to kind of make some money here in the college basketball betting markets, Joe.
Yep. Fullerton,
Joe, we saw we saw Chris Smith for UCLA last night. His high going into that game last night was 20 points.
Yep.
That was against Southern Utah. What did he did? He got to the line. He went to the line 15 times, made 13 free throws. That's why he's on there making 30 points. The most prior to last game, his most free throw makes in a game was 7. So, you saw him step up by driving to the hoop and getting fouled quite a bit.
All right, so we'll take a look here at the market coming up, and I do want to point out, by the way, congratulations to Grant Rilla there, Charleston, over James Madison. And I bring that up, because yesterday one of your TNA, one of your trends and angles here that we'll get to in a second, was a kind of play against James Madison yesterday, and you could not have been more spot on. There was actually a couple of teams yesterday with that trend and situation you pulled out, and it worked out good because James Madison, Charleston with the win. So congratulations on that, which is why these trends and these angles are important, Ralph, because they're not the end-all, be-all, but they just add another dimension to the overall picture.
Well, again, a trend is going to last a part of a season, a half a season, a quarter season, maybe a full season. But when you have a system and a situation, that's so much different.
Yep.
This system that we talked about yesterday, and if you want to know the system, just go to @CalSportsLV, look back at my timeline. I retweeted it this morning.
Yep.
You are talking a 36% system or a 64 play against. Each of the last 11 years, it has at least a 55% play against. It's never had a losing year. And you have over 400 teams, 400 situations over the last 10 years. So that's the perfect storm you want. Success every year, multiple plays each year, a solid record each year. Those are the type of systems, and that's what you learn about here. I have another one coming up a little bit in a situational section about Ivy teams you don't want to miss coming up.
Love that. All right, so trends and angles here today, guys. I know Drew, for those of you just joining us here, Drew is college football too as well, but college basketball extraordinaire. Loves his totals too, guys. He is spot on with them over at sportsmemo.com, which is where you can reach him. Did you come up with anything here today that stuck out to you and Ralph together?
Well, I'll go first. And if Drew up today, normally Drew's not really an angle guy. We put him on the road to maybe find a situation, but angle-wise, Detroit 1-12 over/under at home. You have Siena, who has lost 7 straight on the road. They keep getting overvalued from last year. A Yale team, now they haven't played many home games, and with Ivy starting now back-to-back games, Yale 15-4-1 against the spread at home. And, one that I got from a friend, when Bowling Green is a dog off a home win, they are at Buffalo today.
Yes.
The Falcons are 17-1-1 against the spread, and they're 16-3 over/under in those games.
And it's interesting you brought that up, Ralph, because that was one of the interesting moves so far here today. Now, Buffalo, we talked to them. They were an underdog here a couple of nights ago on the road in a spot in a game in which they covered. Now they're at home taking on Bowling Green. They opened up as a 5.5 point favorite, and it's certainly going towards Buffalo's, actually going towards Bowling Green's way, rather, Ralph. And we always think tempo with Buffalo, right? I think top 10, top 11, something along those lines in tempo. But we've got a total, too, that's hovering right around that 160 mark, 160, 161 and a half. But the money's going towards Bowling Green early here. Agree or disagree?
I have no problems agreeing. Bowling Green was an early pick to win the MAC. Bowling Green comes in 7-1 in conference play. Buffalo is 5-3. But what I will say, Buffalo hasn't played a very difficult MAC schedule as well. Bowling Green comes in at 7-1, and they have played the easiest MAC schedule. So when you look at the strength of schedule within conference, BG is number 12. That's a concern moving forward, although I think it's fairly lined tonight.
Another one, too, that's showing up here, getting a little increase here in the total tonight. Quinnipiac on the road taking on Canisius here tonight. Opened up as a 5-point Canisius favorite at home. But the money's going the other way, Ralph. It's down to 4 in a lot of places. The total is going up, though. Definitely expecting some scoring here. 144 it opens up at 147.5 in a number of shops here. So a lot of Quinnipiac love, and both of these teams. I mean, we've made some money on both of them, backing them here over the last month.
Yeah, it's been a nice MAAC season for me. The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Quinnipiac's a team that, comes in 5-3. But again, I will point out, when I get to this stage of the season and we're, 6, 7, 8, 9 games in the conference play, it is vital for me to know that Quinnipiac has played the weakest MAAC schedule. Yep. So that's something, I look forward. And the funny thing is, we talked about that Detroit total. You look at over 80%, 87% of the money on the over. Mm-hmm. It's gone from 136.5 to 140.5, even 141s. Yep. On a Detroit angle that I said they had been an under team.
One other team, too, guys, that we talked a lot about here throughout the year, Wright State on the road. We kind of thought they were the class there, but Wisconsin-Milwaukee here seems to be getting a little bit love. They opened up as a 7-point Wright State road favorite. It's down to 5, so looks like somebody likes Wisconsin-Milwaukee here tonight in this matchup, even though the percentage of tickets certainly going to Wright State.
Yeah, it's I agree with the move.
Fading their ass. Love it.
But just because you have 2 up-tempo teams, the total to me actually seems pretty cheap the way these teams have played. So, again, that total's gone up a couple points. The line's come down. It's a lot. It's a lot to lay at a decent Milwaukee team.
Yeah, we got 2 games featured here, guys. We'll go over tonight. It's a small card. VCU, Rhode Island, Akron at Kent State. And I did read the email this time. But, Drew, I'll turn to you here, of course. Not a big card here tonight, but there are still some dogs here on the card. Maybe you had a chance to look at something that you circled that you liked a little bit more than anything else there from a dog perspective.
Sure, Joe. Well, one, you guys were talking about some games there in the MAC with Buffalo. I mean, just checking out Buffalo, and I haven't been involved with them a lot, but talking about them from a totals perspective, man, you got to be nuts to be betting a Buffalo game under. That's got to be really tough to watch. That team just goes up and down the court, man. One of, if not the fastest teams in the country. But Joe, on tonight's card, we got a lot of Ivy League action. Fridays I'm not usually involved with in terms of a lot of volume. Mm-hmm. However, there is one game I do like here. It's actually a watch and win opportunity, and the first game on the board. I like kind of what college basketball is doing here at 5 o'clock Eastern start. So, people head out of work, Friday happy hour, go bet on a nice little Ivy League game. I think it's a good setup here for college basketball to kind of grow the sport. ESPNU, 143 the total, -1.5. That's Harvard. Harvard, their sports program in the Ivy League, arguably it probably is the best here. But going up against Penn's not bad at all. And Harvard's had a couple injuries here. 2 of their better, or one, arguably their best player, and then a forward here that was a contributor as well just went down. So I'm thinking maybe if you're needing some action on the 5 o'clock Eastern tip, the singled out ESPNU game, I'm likely going to be involved fading Harvard, actually. So they are going on the road here, and it's the first game of a back-to-back. They're playing on Friday, and then they're coming back and playing again tomorrow. I don't think that bodes well for Harvard. So I like Penn plus the 1.5 at home.
I like that, man. I like where he's going at, Rowley. Fade him, man. Fade them Harvard. Played Harvard on the road. They're a little kind of overhyped, Ralph, but there again, 15 games on the card, so it's not a lot to choose from as far as the dog goes. But did you see anything you liked?
Yeah, I used one game. I have one play up at Wager Talk, and it's a 4% play. This was a game that I looked at. It wasn't close to making the mix, but I do like the Bobcats. I like Quinnipiac. Canisius doesn't have an offense. Canisius does like to push the tempo a little bit more, so I have the better offense on the road. Defenses are close. I have one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country in Quinnipiac. They're at top 10, while Canisius is in the 220 ranges for free throws. So, I think that's important as well. So, again, it's a Friday card. We'll take it with a grain of salt. It's clearly not as strong as a dog that we might find midweek.
Right.
But I'll back the Bobcats.
No problem there. Well, there are two games, obviously, that we have circled here, guys, tonight, and one of them is VCU, Rhode Island, Ralph, that we highlight, that a lot of eyes, I am sure, will be on. And listen.
So wait, are you backing out of a dog now or what?
No, I'm double dipping here in a second.
Okay,
I'm
all
looking
right.
at it in a minute because I'm going here with this Rhode Island VCU game. But it opened up as, believe it or not, it opened up at Rhode Island at home as a 1-point favorite. It has since flipped as Virginia Commonwealth there. VCU is now looking at a 1-point road favorite situation. Total also creeping up, Ralph, 139 to 141.5. You agree with the move, first and foremost?
Well, I do. I mean, I don't want to step on your toes if you're using Rhode Island as a dog and double dipping, but to me, it's we talked about Illinois being the team yesterday that had to prove they could do it. And I'm so pissed I left that under off the board that we talked about here.
Yes.
Illinois did prove it to me.
Yes.
So this is Rhode Island's win and prove it. VCU has been there and done that. I look at VCU and I think they have the better offense in the conference. They have the better defense in the conference. But damn, it's close. These two teams are both in between 40 and 50 in my power ratings, which means, if you're that close, we should probably favor the home team if they're getting a point. But Rhode Island has to win the big game for me to prove it. So I am not on the game either way. But I am, even though my numbers would have me lean with Rhode Island, it's a situation that VCU, okay, let's put this in perspective. VCU has lost one Atlantic 10 conference game in 2 years at home. That was to Rhode Island earlier this year on January 11th. To me, that's a powerful revenge motivation.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it's all right. He didn't want to step on it, but here he is there, Drew. So go ahead. Where are you going here, brother, man? What do you think in this game?
All right. Rhode Island is a team that at home tonight, and they're catching one. They have, in my opinion, arguably the best player on the court tonight, Fats Russell, the guy handling the ball, and he scores, over 30% of the team's points. I just think he's really tough to stop. So VCU, not necessarily a team I'm looking to get in front of. A solid team like Ralph was kind of touching on there. Both teams going to go up and down the court. I lean towards the over, but even more so, I kind of like Rhode Island as a short home dog here.
Yeah, you know what it is too. It's just that it flips. So yes, you got a home team and also you got a road team, home team rather here, where for some teams, just like we've seen some teams just have other teams and other programs numbered. They're 1-7 VCU against the spread in the last 8 meetings against this Rhode Island program. So I also like Rhode Island's a better rebounding team, so they'll have more chances at points in what I think is going to be probably a lower scoring game here with the defenses that both are going to bring, especially VCU. So give me an extra point there for the road team that's already done it. I'll back Rhode Island on this one, Ralph.
Again, it's a game I made my points on. I can see either team going. And I do agree with Drew's point that when the game is pick'em and you're at home, if you have the best player on the court, that's usually a huge edge with Fats Russell. And, you're talking Atlantic 10 Conference Player of the Year. It's either going to be Fats Russell or Topin from Dayton. It's one of those two either. So that is an important thing to look at, that you have the go-to player. Now, again, Marco Santasilva ain't chopped liver,
right?
But he's just not, he's not to the caliber of Russell.
Yeah, and I just can't back a dude named Fats. So just going to move on from that. We will move on to game number 2 here tonight that we are looking. Akron, which, quite honestly, we have talked a lot here over the last week or so, Ralph. Akron taking on Kent State in this one, and I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, did I see the line move? Yeah, it was 2.5 for Kent State at home. It's now 1, so certainly Akron getting some love. The total, though, getting smashed here. 151.5 it opens. I'm seeing 145, even 144.5 in some places, Ralph. So a little overreaction to the total here. What do you think of this game?
I made the total. I made the total 139.
Oh,
so
crap. Okay, definitely good.
It's a game where Akron does have an elite offense. John Grossi, he's now in his 3rd year. This is the guy that coached at Illinois for all those years. So, you have a solid Big Ten coach who's come down and had to fill a gap here. And Akron, from 3-point range this year, is number 4 in the country. Kent's 3-point defense is number 200. Akron has 2 players shooting over 45% from 3-point land. So, you would think if you have 3-point shooters, that means I'm going to lean with the over. But, I used to go to this game all the time in Cleveland. And, you have to remember there's a 7-mile gap between these two schools. And, people don't know, it is. These two schools hate each other as Ohio State, Michigan, or Auburn, Alabama. You don't hear anything about it because they're 2 little MAC schools in Bumpkin, Ohio. But, they're separated by one highway, couple exits. The kids all grew up together. They're rivals from the get-go. And you get that type of rivalry game, and you get Akron off a previous home loss, now playing your rival. It's a game where I lean Akron, and I lean the under.
And you're going the under there. All right, Drew, what do you think? A little MAC action here tonight here with quite honestly the two best teams here in their division.
Yeah, talking about, degenerate specials like yesterday. Akron versus Kent State in the MAC. Outside of the region that Ralph was just speaking to, this could be a qualifier here. But looking at the Zips, by the way, talking about names, Fats, what about the Zips? I think it's an underrated college kind of name here, yes. Basketball, football, all of that. But I mean, what Ralph was saying, 4th in the country in 3-point percentage, also really knocking down their free throws, top team from the line. It's just not a type of profile I'm looking to go against. They are on the road, but I guess I would kind of defer to Ralph and how much you would put into that on the road. Would you factor it in as even more of a disadvantage because it's such a rivalry game, or is it just a short drive down the interstate? I don't really have too much to say on that. I would defer to Ralph. But overall, I mean, it would be Akron or pass just because they're so efficient at the offensive end.
Joe, I got to jump in here.
Go.
Okay. What state is Las Vegas in?
Oh, no. Drew, I apologize. He lives there, Ralph. If he don't know it, then what do you...
No, man, I'm asking you. Joe.
Nevada.
What's the nickname of South Dakota?
It's going to be the Mount Rushmore state, damn it.
And what is a zip?
You laugh. I spent maybe the first hour of the morning show looking this up one day because I actually did the podcast with you, Drew, during football season, and I couldn't figure out what a zip was, and we went through back and forth, trying to go back and forth and find out the history of zips,
Right.
of zips football. Unbelievable, as a matter of fact.
Okay,
It's a
here it
fly, isn't it, or some crap along those
No.
lines?
Well,
It's like a tire, a Goodyear, something to do with Goodyear.
yeah, the zip. I mean, the Zippy is a kangaroo, which has nothing to do. They just voted for some mascot. Akron's been the tire capital. Firestone Golf Course is there. B.F. Goodrich is there. Well, they used to make like a galoshes called the zippers.
That's the
and
one,
it was the shortening of the zippers that B.F. Goodrich did in the 20s and 30s. So, I mean, Akron really was the rubber capital of the world.
Yep.
So for them to come after a B.F. Goodrich product was it makes sense. It makes no sense now. You're a pair of galoshes, so that's a fighting mascot. So now you guys know Zips is a shortening of zippers, which was like a galoshes B.F. Goodrich company did of in Akron.
Yep,
I like it. Thanks.
Yeah. And since my fly is down right now, I'm going to go Kent State here just because of that, Ralph. I got no tolerance for that over there. No, I honestly, I'm with you though. You've got two teams that are they're two of the highest scoring teams I think in this. Certainly in the MAC, but I don't see it. I think there's going to be some defense in this game, Ralph. I think the number's a little bit high. It has been coming down here a little bit. So, I'm with you. I'm backing the under in this matchup tonight. Yeah, 140. It's still it's continuing to come down too. So it's 144, 144 and a half. So I think there's going to be a little more tightness in this game, shall we see? A little more zips going on here, especially tempo-wise. Isn't Kent State middle of the road, Ralph? Somewhere around the 150s, 155, somewhere around in there. They can slow it down if they need to be, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that certainly Akron is not exactly flying all over the place here.
I think you're right. I think Akron's about 100, and the Zips are one. So they're both, both a little bit on the faster side. But again, there's something about a rivalry that is just different, where there's different intensity and there's a different level of defense, and perhaps you're picking up people earlier in the dribble, and it's just a series that I've watched that weird things have happened, and again, both are teams that were accustomed to winning, and Kent State more than Akron, although Akron's the better team this year.
Love it.
Hey, and guys,
go ahead.
With this college basketball total, there's an interesting kind of phenomenon going on. Chris opened at 148, and by the way, you can go to Sports Memo Odds and just click on the numbers and see the past history of what's moving. So 148, bam, right off the opener. That means one bet, maybe two, down to 145 and a half. It got all the way down to 142 and a half, within a matter of like an hour. And now it's been pumped back up to 145 and a half, 146 and a half, depending where you go. So it's just usually when you see situations like this, it's something changed with the two teams, either offensively, a player went down, a coach, changed philosophies offensively, because that wouldn't just happen in terms of, a team's, slowing down the pace over the course of like a month period. I didn't know if either of you two saw these two teams, because I haven't really been focusing on them, but I can tell you this, when a situation like that happens, 6-point drop off of the opener, something changed like last game of
I just think it's conference play. Both teams played much faster in non-conference against opponents. You look back at last year, Drew, the scores were 68-65 and 72-53. So there was 133 points and there was 128 points. I think it was just a blowing total that they put up based on the schedules, and now they're getting in conference opponents against teams equal to them. These teams have played a lot of teams better than them. They've played a lot of teams worse than them. When you get into that middle groove and you play teams of the same caliber, it changes the way you play the game.
Yeah, and to your point, Drew, it happened somewhere around about 10 o'clock this morning. It hit that 142, and then from that point on, it's just steadily increased back up to where it is right now, around the 144 and a half, 145 mark. So It got bet all the way down. Doesn't mean there's going to be 9,000 people betting it down. It just means that whoever it was, thought maybe the opening was a little bit too high, and other people pounced on it once they saw it because of the fact that you got two of the higher scoring teams in the conference now. So 15 games tonight, guys, is what you got. Get ready for, I don't know, it feels like going to be 900 games tomorrow. It's going to be a huge weekend in college hoops. But tonight you got yourself a little appetizer, getting ready. Of course, Super Bowl on Sunday. So best bet time here, Ralph. Where are you going to go on the limited card here tonight? Where are you pushing?
Joe, I'm going to jump in real quick and go through another system situation for tomorrow in the Ivy. The Ivy just started now playing Friday and Saturday. Mm-hmm. The Ivy doesn't play midweek because they don't want their kids missing school. So what happens? You are always playing a home, or you are always playing a road. Ivy teams that lost as a home favorite on Friday, that's it. All you had to do was lose as a home favorite on Friday. You've gone 26-12, 68% against the spread since 2012. So we have the last 7 years when the Ivies are playing the homes, the no rest days. You lose that first game at home. You don't often lose back-to-back games, or at least you cover the second game. So just something to think about tomorrow when you're looking at those Ivy League games after tonight's results.
Yep.
My best bet, again, obviously, we're picking from a smaller card than normal. I like Northern Kentucky. I think Northern Kentucky in the horizon is a team that won't be in the horizon very long. I think they're going to make a move. They're now finally getting their feet under their belt. Their coach, the Northern Kentucky coach, is the one that went to Cincinnati to replace Cronin. So he was hired within Darren Horn. They came out 9-6, lost a couple conference games. They are off an away loss at Wright State, which is not a bad loss, but I think they get it done tonight at Green Bay.
Interesting. How about it, Drew? Where are you looking, man?
Yeah, I got one in the Ivy. Just Ralph, real quick. So I love the simplicity of that stat that you said. Lose on Friday, bet on Saturday, at least to cover the spread. What were the numbers on that?
If you lose on Friday at home, and you're a home favorite on Saturday.
Yes.
You've got 26-12-2 against the spread. That's 38 games, 30, that's 40 games. I think you were 33-7 straight up. But again, you don't lose very often back-to-back games, and that goes back to 2012, Drew.
Okay, but they have to be a home favorite in the second game.
Correct. It doesn't matter if they were a favorite or a dog the first game.
And then do you know why you're cutting out the home underdogs? Just because I'm guessing they weren't as good, but
well, because obviously, if you're a home favorite, you're the better team,
right,
and you are coming off a mentality of having a loss. So when you're the better team, if you play up to par, you're expected to win. There's some big discrepancies in the dog. Listen, if you lose the first game and you're a dog to Harvard and Harvard's off a loss, I'm not going to bet you as a home dog against that team.
Right.
But if you are coming off a home loss the day before, you're sleeping on it, you're pissed, you have 22 hours to turn it around, you are the better team because you're the favorite, and you've done exactly what you're supposed to do. Cover 68.4% of the time.
Love that.
I like that, 26-12-2. I guess this would be on the front end, and we kind of had an appetizer in the beginning of the show, Joe, but right at the top of the card, not going to have to wait long, 5 o'clock Eastern, 851, 852. I actually like Penn plus the 1.5, which you can get out there. Half the sports books look to be 1 in the hook. The other half of the sports books just look to be 1. So a good one to shop around there, kind of an important number. But I like Penn plus the 1.5. I don't think Harvard's playing as well, actually. And heck, they might be the best team, but they're down a couple of their top players. So I'm going to take a shot here with the home dog. Penn plus 1.5 tonight, Joe.
Love that. All right, write it up there. Penn going Ivy League. You know what? I'm going to a team that actually has done pretty well for us here over the last couple of weeks. I'm going to the Heinz Athletic Center. I am going to the Iona Gales, Ralph. Give me the Gales going on against Siena here. And here's what you need to know. Siena is one team at home, not one to be reckoned with. On the road, they're 0-9. This year. So not a great road team. Heinz Center is actually a pretty cool place to play. Actually a really nice place to play. And I do think the Gales are in the need of a big win here. Iona does. They wasted a lot of time to start the season here. Always anticipated, expected to make a push towards the March Madness here, Ralph, in the tournament, but they started off a little bit slow. I think they're finally putting it together. So I'm going to take Iona in this matchup against a team that just can't win on the road.
Well, they've rotated wins and losses the last 6, and they're coming off that home loss to Monmouth. So, hey, that's the due system, right?
That's it. Yeah, they're always due. I'm due. How's that working out for you? All right, guys, make sure you get over to sportsmemo.com. Make sure you take advantage of Drew's deal right now. Drew 69 will get you $69, 7 days, every play, especially heading into this weekend of college hoops. Guys, you definitely want to get over there. Same with Ralph. Plays are up, ready to go all weekend at wagertalk.com. Make sure you get over there. Visit both of these guys on Twitter. Also, make sure you're tailing them. Great information coming out all weekend. So, Ralph, Drew, guys, good luck with the plays. We'll be back on Monday, breaking them all down, getting you ready for week number 2. Only this time it'll be February 2020 next week. It's unbelievable. So good luck with the plays, guys. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Joe, you going to the game?
Oh, hell no. Oh, you can't get near that place. You got to be kidding. I'm lucky if I can make it to Publix in 3 hours. You got to be kidding me. It's unbelievable down here. But good luck. Enjoy the game, though, as well, guys. We'll talk to you on Monday.
All right. See you guys.
Best of luck, guys.